do all his due diligence to make sure he understands what the other issues could be for removing the tree. So if he's gonna take it on, I'll give you the money. I got an estimate from a professional tree removal company. This is what they're telling me the cost is. I'll credit you that. But no, they take on, it's like any other repair. So when you're dealing with, so this is a good question that leads to more to termite work and supplemental termite work. So the question came, actually this happened just the other day. The question came up that, you know how you get your termite, you agree to give a termite clearance, etc. And then so the termite company goes in there and starts doing section 1 work. Or maybe you agree just to do section 1 work. You didn't even say anything about a clearance, but you agree to do section 1 work as stated in the termite report. Now all of a sudden, the termite company gets in there and starts doing section 1 work, and lo and behold, when they start doing the work, they find supplemental work.
Yes.
And now you say, well, wait a minute, I only said section 1 as stated in the original report. I didn't say anything about a supplemental report. You know, so I only said section 1 as stated in the original report, so I don't have to do the supplemental work. Make sense? No.
It doesn't.
No.
That report.
Because it's still related to the same item. It's the same item as in the original report. Okay? Now definitely if you said you're going to give them a clearance, then that goes without saying. That goes without saying. But if you just said, hey, I'm just going to do section 1 work as stated in this report dated this date, and they get in and they start doing it, it's still related to that item.
That section 1.
You would, the best way, so let's go back to phrases and clauses. The best way to handle that stuff is to put a not to exceed clause. I will do section 1 work, seller agrees to do section 1 work, not to exceed X amount of dollars. Anything over and above that amount shall be the buyer's responsibility. That's one way to do it. Or anything over and above that amount shall be negotiated between buyer and seller. Now, when I do that, when I do the negotiation between buyer and seller, am I done?
No.
No, I gotta give an outcome still, right? I haven't given the outcome. Well, what if we can't negotiate something? Right? Now that's an open-ended one. So I gotta give an outcome. Okay, and then you gotta go to the next sentence. If buyer and seller cannot negotiate a resolution, then either buyer or seller may cancel this agreement. There you go. Okay? Now I got an outcome.
It's all spelled out.
It's all spelled out. If we can't negotiate a resolution, then either party can cancel. Or you go back to the first one that anything over and above this is going to be paid by the buyer. I'm good for X amount of dollars. Okay? And you can do that.
Buyer really
You can
wants
do
the
that.
house.
Buyer really wants the house, he'll say, okay, you know, I'll roll the dice. Roll the dice. All right, any other questions?
Bill, you gonna talk about this form?
Oh, yes, I will.
What
Thank you.
form is that?
One more.
Contingency removal of
Continue,
funds
yeah, last form.
of offer.
Last form. So, here's a brand new form. Thank you, Greg, for reminding me. If you guys submit an offer with any contingencies removed on the offer upon submission, you must now use this form at the same time. You don't have to turn this form into the seller. I don't care about it. This form is going to save you. Because here's what you guys are running up against. My agent didn't tell me what the contingency removal meant at that time. This form tells me. It's not buried in an SPSA, in 12 pages of SPSA. It's not buried in some advisory. I'm telling you, whatever you remove here, if you decide to back out of the contract for that reason, you don't have the protection of that contingency anymore, and your deposit may be forfeited.
Yeah, that's what it said in the contract, isn't it?
I want this form.
This looks spelled out.
But really, because this form sticks it in their face.
Is it our company form?
This is my form. Huh? Yeah, as a listing agent, I don't care. You don't need
Then
it.
you don't need it.
This is only when you represent the buyer. This is going to drive the point home because if you notice in bold letters, the broker's advising buyer against removing said contingencies upon submission of offer. Because here's where the same set of facts can be misinterpreted. Margot, what's it gonna take for me to get this house? There's 15 offers on the house, according to the listing agent. If you really wanna get it, you're probably gonna have to remove all your contingencies.
Okay.
So Margot knows what she just said. I'm just letting you know. I'm answering your question. What's it gonna take? But what did the buyer just hear? Margot told me to remove all the contingencies before when I make this offer. Funny how the same thing
Yeah.
can be heard differently and interpreted differently. Okay? This will bring them back to realities. That's not what I said. You asked me a question of, what do you think it's gonna take for me to get the house?
But that is what you said.
That is not what I said. I answered your question, but I didn't tell you that you had to go in removing all contingencies. Matter of fact, I'm advising you against it. And if you still want to move forward with that, that's it.
Then I get the
No,
house.
it's a company.
Hey.
But you don't.
That's
So Greg's comment, they may not get the house, or the house may appraise for 115,000 short, and they don't have the money, and whose problem is it?
Well,
No wells. Don't give me the well. I'm not giving you the well.
just like we talked about this morning.
You make, once they make the decision on it, they have
I see the value of all of the verbiage that you mentioned, but as far as us saying that we advise them not to do it, because they're asking us questions, we're giving them, this is the scenario that you're facing.
You ever read the BIW closely? What does it say in the BIW? It's bolded. It's bolded, broker advises against this course of action. Because it's coming back to you guys. I don't care how much you want to sit here and try to explain, it's gonna drop in your lap. Is it really worth getting the property? And if it is, they're gonna have no reluctance to sign this. I don't care, I want the property come hell or high water. But if you give them one moment to pause and say, okay, you're telling me this is what I need to do, but you're also telling me I shouldn't do it. They can never come back at you and say,
Tell them that your deposit could be in jeopardy by then.
well, it says that, that's all it says right there. And these deposits these days are pretty
This
damn
says,
big.
I'm advising you that.
Yeah.
But you tell them,
At the same time, you just told them that this is the way they get the house.
All right, right. Hang on one second. Let me backtrack. Let me backtrack. It's not clicking with you,
Right.
and this is the problem. Well, this is at the core of the problem. They're misunderstanding what you're saying.
right.
They're asking you, Greg,
Okay.
what do you know about this property? I've talked to the listing agent, there's 15 offers on it. Some of the offers are coming in with no contingencies whatsoever.
Right.
You may have to come in with no contingencies.
Right.
Okay, now, then they go ahead and they write it that way. Would have been the logical question, could have been a follow-up question by then. So Greg, are you recommending that I go in with no contingencies?
No.
If you really want the house, you can go in with no contingency.
But you didn't answer my question, Greg. Okay, so go ahead.
You must
So Greg, if I
understand.
go in with no contingencies, what does that mean?
That means that if you do not buy the house, you could lose your deposit.
All right, so that conversation you just had, I put here, because if you don't follow up that conversation with an email that's confirming that conversation, they never had that conversation with you.
Yep.
They remember only the first part of it. This is what Greg told me to do.
Right.
Yep.
Okay? And that's
You're
where,
under the bus
that's
now.
why I'm where I'm at today on this other case. Because supposedly there was a conversation. There's no documentation anywhere. Okay?
Bill,
You don't get the house.
a question or comment, I guess, we do a lot of cross-cultural representation. You should not be representing or interpreting for your client, especially when you're going into this. If you recommend or interpret, I see people interpreting in different language what these forms mean. And you should not be the interpreter for documentation. If they need an interpreter, they need to get their own interpreter.
Get one.
Yeah.
But this document
What
will
if you're
help
fluent
you.
in that language?
You should not be, English, if the contract is in English, it should be spoken in English. If they want to read it in another language, they should have their own
The key though
interpreter.
is to make sure they understand what they're signing and what they're doing. So Greg and I's scenario that we just played out basically is that. That takes care of answering all the questions for them and is now documented. Because if you don't, and you have that verbal conversation and you don't document with an email after that, that whole conversation, they never heard it. All they heard was one thing.
That's right.
You know, this is what you need, if you want to get the house, this is what you need to do. Okay, that's all they'll remember. That's the best of the recollection. All right? Anything else?
This is a must.
This is a
It's
must.
mandatory, so we
Must,
just
it's
talk about it
mandatory.
after.
And I'm
because
just,
it's
look, I'm trying to
mandatory.
protect you guys.
Gotta explain it to them.
Because these deposits aren't small money. $40,000, $50,000. Okay?
I think what bothers them is the bold clause that
That
says,
should bother
we
me.
do not recommend it.
That's
We
right.
don't. It's not in your best interest.
It's designed to bother you.
But you just told me.
No, you didn't.
Don't give them the
You're
whole
interpreting it the same way that they're
Yeah.
interpreting it, and that's where the mistake is. All right? Whatever, but it's explained
But
there.
if you take
It's
that
explained.
risk,
All
it's on
right.
you.
Anything else?
And they still-
It's a CYA.
Yes.
All right. I know we're a little over, but thank
Offer
you.
that pantyhose.
There will be on our new platform, whatever we call it now. We use Gauge and Chief, whatever the new one is. I just want to be on it. I don't really find them because I never go on there.
Is that really important though? It's a legitimate documentation. It's more important to get it signed.